Hi everyone, Glenn Fleury from Board Games and Bourbon, and right now I want to show you the elements of the Siege of Valeria campaign box for Siege of Valeria, the tower defense survival solo game that I made. So this is a 3-game campaign that you can play over and over and over because there's a bunch of cards in there and they're going to play out in different fashions. But it does introduce new elements to the game and twists on traditional elements that were in the base game. So in this one, first you're going to start off with a Duke. This is new to the game completely. This is your ongoing persona, and it gives you ongoing abilities. So if we look here at this person, for example, the inventor, these 2 arrows means this is persistent and ongoing. Every siege engine in row 3 or 4 is within range. That is big because if it's always in range, one, you can attack it and maybe, get out of the way before it does too much damage. But also if it's always within range, it's going to attack you every turn. That is a yin and yang kind of deal there. This one here has a die and means like after every die roll, you can swap the values of a red and blue die in your dice pool. So you roll your dice and then you can swap the values, and that can get you at a jam because sometimes the blue can augment the red, and sometimes with some of the bosses, you're going to need a very specific die. And maybe you want that red to be a very specific number, okay? And then this one here, for example, the priestess says number 1, and that means once per turn, you can reduce the card you're attacking by a -3 strength. And there is a whole bunch of those cards in there. So that's going to be your persona. But the enemy, the hordes, the monsters also have their leader as well, their commanders. And the commanders are going to activate kind of like an event card every round. So this one right here, the shapeshifter, says you're going to draw another commander and apply its effect and then discard it. This one here, the saboteur, says add fire to a turret on the fortress. Remember, this happens every round. That's brutal, okay? The infiltrator, flip 1 hero in your fortress face down. So basically nullifying them. So what's the implication there? Does that mean that when you get a hero, you have to use it right away so that it's not wasted on a card like this? It's just a lot of implications. So once again, you get a whole stack of cards there to make those campaigns different. Okay, you're also going to get champion cards. Now, we have some standard champions, but we also have starter champions. And the starter champions, you're going to start with 3 types. And there's a little star in the corner to tell you it's from the expansion. And this, what these say is, put this at the bottom of the champion deck, and then you take the effect. So here it says like you'll gain a +3 attack on any red or blue card on the vanguard. This one here, the builder says, put it at the bottom of the deck, and you're going to remove a fire from the fortress. This one here, the archer says, attack a non-front card and gain a +2. Okay, so you get a +2 attack on it. That's pretty good. And again, a bunch of cards there. All right, we have some new events that are in the deck. They're standard. I'll let you discover what those are, but those are events. You're also going to have game to game. You're going to have bonuses and penalties based on how you did. Now, winning one game can help the next, but you might have to be able to get through that first game anyway. So losing isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there are bonuses and detriments. Okay, so for the bonuses here, immunity. This one says here, after revealing an event, you may choose to discard it unresolved. Okay, motivation, and you got to read the stories. The stories are cool. Reroll 2 dice from your active dice pool. Okay, really helpful there. You're going to use that. Then these are the penalties, and again, big old pile there to keep it fresh. Move 1 active red die to your spent pool. Ugh, the deserter. The story on that one is one of my favorites. This one says move a blue to the die. This says add strength to every siege engine currently in the battlefield. Ooh, that is rough. Okay. Well, let's talk about these 2 cards here. We're going to talk about the regular troop cards. Now, the interesting thing about the troop cards in the expansion is, whereas you had to meet or exceed a threshold to defeat the enemies, the troops in the base game, these ones require specific numbers. This is actually a really cool one because this you need a number 1 die and a number 1 red die to defeat it. Now, that is interesting because normally you can use blue to augment a rye to meet a threshold. Here, you have to have only a red, and it has to be specifically a 1. How do you get those numbers? Well, you're going to have to manipulate it. Maybe you're going to use that power we saw before where you can flip the values of a blue and a red and bring a 1 blue and make it into a 1 red, and that'll help you. You can spend your troops. That'll help you, roll down a die or something like that. But the good thing is once you defeat these, you get good effects. Like this one here says you can use this card as a number 2 attack. die. That's really good. Here you need exactly a number 2, and you need exactly a number 3, and it says swap a card between your hand and the battlefield. Oh, that's huge, especially like if you get the card that says you can double a die. And remember, when you double a die, you can change a 6 into a 12, stuff like that. And, you know, so, okay, so there's another whole host of there for you to discover. And then these are the bosses that come out. Now, these are going to be in the Siege deck, and you're going to pull it out when you need a Siege engine. If you pull out this card, the boss, it goes in the field, and then you pull another Siege engine out. But these are double duty hard because they're going to have 2 things you have to attack. And these are going to activate every single round. They're always within range, but they also always attack. Like this one here says, the top row says, every blue card is going to have a +2, and every red card is going to have a +2. When you attack it, you're going to blow up. You're going to get a token in your deck, in your box that'll cover it. But when you defeat either the top or the bottom value, you're going to cover it, and you're going to know that there's going to be another value you have to defeat. And there's only going to be one boss that's going to come out in each game, okay, near the end of the deck, like the bottom 3 or 4. And that's going to be your leader in combination with your commander is really going to give you a good time there. Okay, so that's all the stuff that is going to be in the Siege of Valeria campaign deck. Check it out. I hope you enjoy it, friends. Take care. Bye.